All right, students, we are anxious to see all of you in just a few weeks. We're busy on campus right now. The last touches on getting campus ready and I'm ready to go for you all to come back. So I'm joined this afternoon by Dr. Mark Reeder, our provost at the university. And Dr. Reeder does a phenomenal job of overseeing all of our academic endeavors. And as we get ready to reopen, just wanted to ask him a few questions just to give you some information on where we are with classes and professors and things like that. Dr. Reeder, thank you for joining us. Let me start with this. Where is Oakland with plans to reopen classrooms here in August?
Well, as you can imagine, we've been busy all summer with the reopening committee and with the academics trying to ensure that we can have classes on ground. You know, some colleges out there have gone totally online. We're not doing that. We're planning on having on-ground classes and trying to follow, of course, all the CDC guidelines. I would suggest, and I'm sure the others that you speak to would suggest, that you go onto our website. We do have a new posting there with all the plans for like a 5-page document talking about reopening, which will explain things in more detail than I'll tell you now. But I can tell you some of the things we've been doing. One thing, the obvious things is cleaning the classrooms and so on and so forth. But we are putting certain protocols in place, and you'll discover them if you read the link, or when you get back, there will be orientation for you, since it will be a little bit different if you're a returning student or a new student. We will be practicing social distancing in our classrooms. There might not be 6 feet, but it'll be at least have to be a seat between every person in the classroom. All students are required to wear masks in the classroom, and primarily whenever you're in buildings when there's more than 1 or 2 people together. And I know that's a little bit inconvenient, but it's for your safety and for ours. Your professors will be wearing not masks, but shields, so you can see them as they're speaking, and it'll be easier to understand them, but again, to protect both you and your professor. Also, before every class period, and after every class period, the desk and the chairs will be wiped down and sanitized either by the professor or by student help. Some of you might be asked to volunteer to help, depending on some of your bigger classrooms where there's many seats. And so we'll be doing that to ensure the safety of everybody coming in and out of the classroom. So there'll be some classes like labs where, you know, it might not be quite as easy to social distance, but we are counting on everybody wearing masks, both the professor and the student, to protect them in the academic endeavor. Also, there will be some classes that will have to be moved to different classrooms because you might have had a class that had 20 students in a room that had 26 seats. Well, now that won't work. So we'll be transferring them to bigger classrooms like Lyon Hall, if you're familiar with the campus. Also, some of our classes will be more of a hybrid model, kind of like how we're doing a chapel this year. I'm sure you'll hear about that, where maybe in some of these bigger classes, you will meet on Monday, and then on Wednesday, you'll be online with the class or something like that. We did buy something for all our professors called an OWL, and it basically is a 360 Zoom device. And the professors that want to do this will be able to set this up in the classroom, and the whole class, if you've ever used Zoom like this, you know, it's usually have a camera facing you, this will be able to record the whole room. So you could be setting, if you're, let's say, I don't know exactly how your professor might use this, but let's say you have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, and you're meeting in the classroom on Monday, but on Wednesday, you're taking part through the Zoom of the class, and you can just be like you're right there in the class. You can see the whole classroom, the professor can see you, the classroom can see you. And so this way it'll make it easier to do hybrid classes if we have to break up some big classes. So I know we bought like 18 of those for professors to use in their classes, and I think that will be helpful. Another thing that we've done is all of our classes this year will be put up on Brightspace. Your syllabi will be on Brightspace. In fact, you probably won't even be getting a paper syllabus anymore. But beyond that, we've asked all our professors to build their classes out by August 1st, which is a couple of weeks. They're supposed to have their classes built out in Brightspace. So a lot of your work will be handed in through Turnitin or whatever. And then if, for example, let's say it's an international student from Brazil who cannot get back to campus because of the quarantine right now, well, the student will be able to begin the class through Brightspace online and then join the class when they get on campus. And so these kind of hybrids be available. Or if a student, God forbid, would test positive with COVID, or maybe somebody that you're connected to or somebody you had contact with, and now you'd be quarantined, for example, we have all those kind of protocols in place. Again, you can read about them on the website, but you would not have to drop out of your class. You would not have to miss your class. You could continue your class while you're out because of the virus or out because of quarantine. So obviously things change day to day depending on what the federal government or the state puts out. But we're trying to put some very clear protocols in place, not only to protect everybody, but to allow the learning experience to be as robust in many different ways, not just an online experience. So it might be that some of our classes will be taught online depending on the professor, but most of our classes will continue to be on ground or in some kind of a hybrid that would allow us to take advantage of hopefully both worlds.
Yeah, great. Great. And I think flexibility is key right now, coming to be prepared, but also prepared to adapt, as needed. And I think you and your team have done a great job of getting us ready for that. So if I'm a student, Dr. Weeder, getting ready to either come back to school or come for the first time, what advice would you give me to prepare for academics this semester at Oakwood?
Well, one thing I would really suggest, and we are working on this to make this available for our students as reasonably as possible. Obviously, again, read the website, which talks about all the things you need to bring with you and so on. But from the academic side, it's very, very helpful if you have your own computer. Some things are a little more, I'm on an iPad right now, but some things are just not as easy to do on an iPad when you're working on your classwork, printing off things like that, and so on and so forth. And so if at all possible, it would be very helpful, particularly since we might be having hybrid classes, you might be having an online class, that you have a computer. We're trying to work out something through our bookstore and so on, where we have very reasonably priced laptops if you do not have one. But more than any other semester since I've been here, and I've been here a long time, I would suggest that a student, if at all possible, bring a laptop with them, because that's going to help them in their classes anyway, taking notes and so on and so forth. But particularly if they're in a hybrid class or an online class, it's going to be invaluable.
Great. Great. So students, just a couple resources to keep in mind would be Dr. Weeder mentioned the website. If you go to oakwood.edu/coronavirus, you can see all of our resources, guidelines there as we follow our state local guidelines for reopening. Also, don't forget about web access, just to make sure that if your class location has changed, that you are aware of that. So Dr. Weeder, thank you so much. Anything else you would add before we sign off for today?
No, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, looking forward to being back in class, and looking forward to seeing you at WU this fall.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Weeder. Students, we're looking forward to seeing you in just a few weeks.